Hi friend, today I'm going to be making for you a mental clarity candle, and we're going to be mixing some herbs and some oils together, and we're going to be rolling this candle, as this is a sheet of beeswax, and we're going to be rolling this candle and making it a candle to promote mental clarity for those times when you feel clouded or overwhelmed. And we're going to be doing some energy work on it as well to make sure that it is accessible to you wherever and whenever you are. So, like I said, this is a beeswax sheet. I had originally taken my scissors to cut it, and I've taken the measurement here. So what we're going to be doing today is first we're going to have to do some mortar and pestle work, and we're going to be grinding up some herbs here. And then once that's done, I have some oil here, and we're going to be mixing those herbs in the oil and eventually anointing this candle to help promote mental clarity. So before we get started though, I'm going to light a candle, and I'm going to set our intention here that we are making a mental clarity candle that can be accessed wherever and whenever you are. And today it is very windy outside, so there's a good chance you're going to hear some wind in the background. Just gonna light our candle here. Alright, so I lit our candle here. Just kind of mindfully setting that intention of making a mental clarity candle. I'm also going to clear the space using my shell and sustainable sage here. And I always like to clear the space before I do this type of work, just to get rid of any energy that shouldn't be a part of this work or doesn't need to be a part of this work. And we're just going to send that also straight towards you here, straight towards you as well. Okay, and sage is great. Sage does a really good job at clearing. It does a really great job at removing energy, but it does tend to strip all of the energy. So when that happens, I like to go back and I like to fill the space with some positive vibrations. And this is a mixture of Florida water and some other essential oils that I've mixed together. And that's just to help bring in some positive energy, some positive vibrations. Just going to do a couple sprays here. Just going to shake it up first. Give everything a good shake. And then we're just going to spray. Okay. Just allow that to fill the space. Perfect. Okay. So now that we've cleansed our space, let's take a few seconds to center ourselves here. So I want you just to take a really deep breath through the nose here. Hold it for a few seconds, and then let it go. And one more time, inhale through the nose here. Hold. And exhale. Okay, one last time, inhale. Hold. And exhale. Okay, now that we've cleared the space, we've centered ourselves, let's get started with our work here today. I always like to record what I'm doing in my journal. And for this one, I have already done a candle very similar to this. So I'm just going to use this as my guide today to help us. Just gonna take all that in too. I like to do both the paper and the digital journal. They both have their advantages, I would say for sure. So let's take a look and see if I can find the page. Seer serum, some tarot reading. Here we are. So this is going to be my guide for how to make this candle. I'm just going to carefully put it over here to the side so that I can refer to it as we need. So first things first, let's get out our mortar and pestle. This is a very small mortar and pestle, but it's really great for doing smaller batches of things or things on the go. So what we're going to be doing is I have 4 herbs that we're going to be using in this candle. And I will show you them in a moment. So let's take a look. Move the candle a little bit forward now, out of the way of the working space. So the first one I have here it's a lemon peel. I guess I'll flip it to the back so you can kind of see it. It's very dried. Lemon peel is great for bringing clarity and joy and happiness. So we'll be adding a few pieces of lemon peel into our mixture here. So let's add a couple. We don't need too many. Just enough to really coat the candle. So now I'm going to just carefully start to work on grinding that a little bit. I am grinding in a clockwise motion. And I'm grinding in a clockwise motion because I want to bring in this energy. So we move in a circle in the clockwise motion here. Okay. The next herb I'm going to add is a few cloves. These are my little cat dishes here, but there's some cloves in the bottom. And cloves are really, really good for protection. Again, there's a great clarity property to them as well. So we're just going to put this in here with our peels. These ones are also pretty tough, so I am going to give it a little grind here. Just really make sure that I'm crushing everything as best as I can. Again, trying to make sure that I'm consistently moving in a clockwise pattern here. Okay. Already smells really good. Smells like a lemony, kind of spicy mixture. The next thing I have here is rosemary. Rosemary is first and foremost great for protection, but it's also a really great herb for memory and mental clarity here again. So we're going to be adding this in as well. And while I take these moments, I'm in my head thinking in gratitude for rosemary lending us its properties. And again, I think that whether you call it spell work, the nameless art, whatever you want to call it, I think working in a gratitude mindset is very helpful when trying to raise the vibrations here. So I can take, just kind of crush it a little bit with my fingers here first. I'm going to drop some in. Just going to drop some in here again. Beautiful. And again, I'm just going to give it a nice little grind. You don't have to, feel like you need to use your most absolute intense muscles out there, but just a little force to awaken the properties of the herbs. Good, this is looking good. You also may want to use less force if you want to have a little bit more of like a fuller herb when you're rubbing it onto the candle as well. Okay, and our last herb, it's very simple. It is just ground sage. And I chose to use sage in this because my guess is if we're having some issues with mental clarity, there's some things that need to be cleared. There's some things in the way that perhaps are blockages. There's just things that are not supposed to be there. So we're going to remove any of those blockages using the sage. Again, just working in gratitude, thanking the sage for lending its properties to us today. Just going to sprinkle some in. Maybe just a little bit more. Beautiful. Okay. Now I'm really going to make an effort here to really grind all these herbs together. Really moving them around. I feel like I'm trying to be a little careful not to be too intense so we don't get any crazy bangs or things like that, but mixing up these herbs just for you. Again, holding that intention that these herbs are working together to bring forth mental clarity, however that means for you in this moment, in this time. So, let's see if I can show you. It might be a little difficult, but we've got a lot of our herbs kind of mixed up and ground here. It smells fantastic. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put this to the side. I have some herbs all over already. Just check the book. Okay, so we've done that. We've ground it all up. Now we're ready for the next step. Okay. We're just going to take these herbs and we're going to mix them with the oil here. And I'm just using a simple, actually it's almond oil. And just going to dump those in and just kind of swirl it around. I am going to use my finger to just kind of mix it all up, as you can see, just to make sure that the oil is taking on those herbs, and just going to let them sit for a few moments here while I get the next part ready. Okay, and again, as I swirl my finger in this, I'm just kind of reminding myself of the intention that this candle will bring forth energy of mental clarity for anyone who watches this, whenever and wherever you are. It has been so windy here. We've had some thunderstorms, as it happens with the weather when, weather changes from winter to spring. But today is exceptionally intense. Okay, so I'm just going to clean off my hands. And then we are going to prep our candle by writing down, again, our intention. This is all about intention. It's all about setting the mindset and bringing that energy forward. Okay. I'm going to put this to the side here. And so this is, like I said, it's a sheet of beeswax. It is sustainable, from a sustainable farm. And this sheet of beeswax is great for making hand-rolled candles. Now, the thing about this is that it actually has like the little honeycombs. So in order to do any writing on it, we do have to flatten the edge with our fingers, and then we can write with our marker. After that, we'll spread the oil on and we'll roll up this candle. Now, I will give a word of warning that when these candles have lots of oil and herbs and they're rolled and lit, they can be intense. They turn almost from a candle to a torch. So it's very important that you're doing this in a fire-safe dish and you're, sitting with a candle in the room. So like I said, we are going to need to kind of, I don't know if they're very easy to see, but we do need to crush down these honeycombs. So we're just going to take my fingers here and just press very carefully, trying to flatten it as best as I can so that I'm able to write on it here. So I'm going to try and get the other side now. Okay. I think it's pretty good at this point. And it's pretty flat. You don't have to use a ton of force. I mean, it's just a very, very thin sheet of beeswax here. So I think what I can do now is get my marker I chose silver for today, just because I feel like silver is a very sharp color, and I feel like that's a word that I would say if I was 80. I just feel like that's a very kind of bright and clear color. So on this part, I'm just going to write our intention of I have mental clarity in my life at this time. So I'm just going to write it here carefully. I have mental clarity in my life at this time. Okay, it's there. If you hold it up, you can kind of see it here. It's a little hard probably for you to see, but it worked out actually quite well. Okay, put my marker to the side. So the next thing that we need here is just a simple wick. You can do this for sure without a pre-tabbed, but this one is pre-tabbed for us. And it just makes it easier because you don't have to worry about the wick kind of falling. And it kind of helps it to stand once we set it up. So we are going to have to, now I did cut this so that the wick will fit here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to roll it up one time, and then we're going to spread our oils on here. But I would like the wick just to be completely wrapped by the intention that we just wrote. So I'm just going to carefully kind of wrap it here as best I can. It doesn't have to be perfect. You know, magic's about intention. It's about the energy that you're putting into it here. And this part, we just really just need it to be encased around the wick, so when that wick lights, it really connects here. Perfect. I'm just going to pull it a little bit taller. Okay. All right, that's pretty good. Okay, so we have it kind of wrapped here, and now we are going to take our oil anointing mixture, and we're just going to rub it across before we roll it all the way up. I am going to carve in some Reiki symbols here. I'm also going to carve in a bind rune. So this is one of my crystal boxes that I just have a few crystals that I like to use on hand. It also just is a beautiful box. It's made of cedar. See the front too. It's very, very smooth and flat. So, just to show you what's inside, it's just a mixture of a couple crystals here. When I do my inscribing, I usually use this. It's very small and simple, but it's just a little quartz point here. And what we're going to do is I'm going to put our stones on this. And then, like I said, I'm going to write on them, and then I'm going to put on our final bind rune. I'm just going to make the symbol here. Okay, do my next one here. This is just the distance symbol, and I've said this before, but distance does not always only mean where you are, but it's also referring to time and space. So part of the ideas of Reiki is that this symbol helps us to connect to each other wherever or whenever we are, because we are all one. We are one energy. We are all pieces of a whole. So we're really just bringing ourselves together. Okay, perfect. And the last thing I'm going to do is a bind rune, just to help bring this energy in and seal it here. You know what? Because I just feel like we need it here. I am just going to put the master symbol over this whole thing. Okay. Yeah, it feels good. Okay, so now I have our oil here. It's been sitting for a little bit, which is good. So I'm just going to take the oil with my fingers and just kind of spread it out and then all over. And I might go through, and if there's anything a little too big or chunky, I might take that out just to mix the oil in. It's really good, spread all the way out. It kind of has fallen into some of the honeycombs, but it's definitely being spread all around, which is great. Really going to bring in that energy of mental clarity here. As I do this, I'm also using my symbols and my own energy work here just to kind of really make sure that that energy is being sealed in. Kind of feel the areas where I traced with my quartz point too, which is cool. My bind rune here. Okay. Now I still have the oil on my fingers, which is great because I'm going to roll up this candle here. And that'll help to really just coat everything. So when you make a hand-rolled candle, it's very, very simple. You just take small little rolls at a time. And you just roll it up. Just kind of going little by little. You really can't rush it, because when you rush it, it will crack. So you also kind of need the heat from your fingers to help make the wax a little bit more malleable. Because if you don't have that, it will again crack. So it's kind of just this like fine art of patience, right? So again, just rolling, not in a rush to make anything happen, rolling slowly. Rolling slowly. Now at this point I am starting to add a little bit more pressure to really just make sure it all sticks together. Looking good. Looking good. Perfect. Okay, and I'm just gonna put some pressure on the end here to really just keep it tight. Just kind of also letting the oil in my hands here take over. There you go. You have this really cool kind of rolled up candle for mental clarity. I'm just going to take a few seconds and just kind of move it back and forth, again giving it that energy, setting its purpose, programming it here. as I said before, this candle has been made for you, wherever you are, whenever you are. So know that when it's lit, the energy is to bring you mental clarity in the time and space that you are, as we're all connected. I recognize that it can sound a little woo, but you know what? Sometimes the best thing I can say is you just need to suspend disbelief. So now that this has been charged, the great thing about this kind of candle is that you can light it as soon as it's done. You don't have to wait like if you make another, like a soy candle or paraffin candle. I'm just going to dry my hands, and I'm just going to light it and know that this candle has been lit just for you. And there you have it. Your very own mental clarity candle. So, I hope you enjoyed this. Please comment, like, subscribe, whatever you want to do if you enjoy this. But please know again that this candle is for you and this candle is lit. So in time and space, mental clarity is traveling to you. Stay safe, stay well, and until next time.